episode of making the most out of your major scales. Now, we've already looked at a few uses, and this next one is also to do with playing over minor chords. Now, there's one or two caveats to this which I will be covering in a completely separate video, and it's about a subject which doesn't ever seem to get talked about, so I'm going to be getting onto that properly shortly. But I wanted to just get the principle of this going first. So, if you've tried playing some of these other examples, and the first time you try and, let's call it, displace a scale, you borrow a scale and put it into another context, it can be very difficult because your ear's kind of still wanting you to play it where it belonged, or it's encroaching on where you think you're trying to play to. So as soon as you get used to doing it once, you can kind of get used to that idea of just transferring harmonies a little bit. So this one is slightly different. We've got a D minor here, okay, and it's going to a G. Now this could be very noisy, this could be played death metal speed, who knows, but I'm not worried about the sounds or the tempo or tattoos, okay, that doesn't matter. What matters is the, that's all great stuff, but it's really about the tonality. That's what we want to know about. What's the tonality of this? So okay, D minor to G, and we can use our C scale again. So this time it's a tone below our D. Okay, really running around a C scale, but as ever, don't, just because you discovered a C scale works over D minor, or D minor going to G in this particular case, then don't get rid of your other stuff. It's all part of the melting pot. Okay, so I'm going to take another little example. Now this isn't in the original key, but let's suppose we change the tempo. Okay, this is sounding a bit Simply Red, isn't it? Okay, so I don't want you to be thinking, oh, that can only be played, in a cafe lounge at 1 o'clock in the morning or something. You can't play that in a rock gig. Well, okay, what about this? Okay, now I'm sure you'll be familiar with that. Suppose we put it in A minor. Okay, so if it's in A minor, it will be a G scale. If it's in D minor, it will be a C scale. Now, we can play loads and loads of stuff using that. Really, just huge flexibility into your playing. As I've mentioned before, areas where the pentatonic might not have been particularly useful, if I'm in D minor. This is horrible. It's like someone's replaced my fingers with bits of wood. It just doesn't sound right. If I bring in our C scale, and that all works fine. So okay, now some of you might have a bit of a question forming at this point. And it is a little bit of a puzzling thing when you come to think about it, because we've just, in the last two videos, we've said, well, a C scale fits A minor and a C scale fits D minor. It seems odd that it can do both, don't you think? Okay, well, that's the subject of the next video, and the next video is going to be called Type 1 and Type 2 minor. Now, this is a subject over best part of 50 years now, I've been very curious to see why there never seems to have been anything in print about this that I can recall. Okay, so it is a big subject, but it's a little bit of an eye-opener as to what scales fit different situations in rock. Okay, so that's a pretty much, well, if I say so myself, it's a must-watch. Okay, so C scale for D minor for the moment. Just get your head around that. As ever, record it on your phone. Doesn't matter how you've recorded it. You just need it there. You just need to. But there's one thing I would change about my entire career as a professional musician and as somebody trying to learn their way. And I'm, we're still learning things. I played a gig the other day and I thought, oh, I've never played like that before. That's an interesting thing. Why didn't I think of that? So it's that gift that never runs out, really, which is great. But the thing I would have changed is, and the technology wasn't really there for it in my defence, but I would have played along with more things earlier. That's what I would have done. Okay. When I took up playing pedal steel about 20 years ago, I was dumped straight in the deep end. And there's a great mate of mine, Ian McCutcheon. He'd already been playing in a band called Mojave 3 at the time. And anyway, the point of this is to do with how you practice. Okay. And he said, "Oh, I've got this 9-piece country band, and would you like to come and play some pedal steel?" Now, I only bought the pedal steel 6 weeks previously, and so I said, "Yeah, well, why don't you bring a CD over? Let's have a listen to what you're doing and stuff." And anyway, long story short, I had to learn that set in a very, very short amount of time, and it was, in fairness, all I really knew how to play. But the point of it was that I almost from the get-go, I was playing along with something, and that gave me a context for what I was playing. And so if you can do that with your guitar playing, every time you're playing solo lines, it really does help accelerate your progress. Now, again, no miracle cures here. Nothing's going to happen in 5 minutes. You do have to work at it, but it's with a bit of determination, you can get so much more out of this than you might ever have thought or imagined. Anyway, so that's it. I'm preaching a bit, but what's the point if you're not passionate about what you do? Anyway, so I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I'm going to be talking about type 1 and type 2 minor keys. Okay, but for the moment, please press the subscribe button, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.